All right, let's get this fired up. Get the word out. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles for this Friday, August 26th. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, and it has been a crazy week, y'all. We are going to talk so much tonight, but I wanted to get this open and started on a brief note about Tuesday's Bonnet Chronicles because I noticed I had a new person in the chat, which we don't mind. I figure like my Twitter, eventually these Bonnet Chronicles words will circulate and more people will sit in there. And I am okay with people having a difference of opinion. I'm okay with you feeling whatever you want to feel, but I need you to understand that this is a pro democracy, pro Democrat stream. If you're anti Democrat, if you can't stand Biden Harris, if you think the treasonous one that I'm going to drag today is the bee's knees, you're in the wrong place. If you need to come and defend him or anything he does, you're in the wrong place. I have been very clear what the Bonnet Chronicles is going to be about. I bring my opinion, but I also do my diligence to bring facts. I don't put anything out there that I can't back up. And if it is my opinion, I let people know it's my opinion. Now, last week we had a gentleman decide to come and talk about the Clinton lies. And when I pressed him about the Clinton lies, he brought up the fact that Hillary may or may not have had stricter abortion stance. And when I pressed him about how people's viewpoints change, he brought up Chicago. When I pressed him on that, he said he was from Chicago. I get that as my show becomes more popular, there will be people who try it. I don't need the views that badly. This is just fun for me. And I have mods and I have people who care that will ban you if you waste our time. So please don't waste the time in here. If you come to sit and enjoy the chat, great. But if you're coming to try to stir trouble, you're wasting both our times and you will be banned. That's just the end of it. I'm not going to spend any more time than that. I also want to thank everybody who's reached out. This month was kind of crazy. I was expecting and sadly did not get any of the royalties from the book yet. I've been selling solid copies of my sci-fi novel since June, but because I did it after their original payment in June, because my birthday wasn't until the 16th, I figured, okay, I won't get June's payment yet. Didn't get July's or August's. And when I reached out to the publisher, their email did not leave me feeling okay. I know they're not going to do me dirty because it would be a PR nightmare for them. But to say it's disheartening when you're on a fixed income, to have something that you thought was going to be a solid source of income not go through for you, and then having the leasing price, just, it's a mess. So I vented a little bit, and it really wasn't for you guys to come out of pocket, but I appreciate everybody who sent something. It will help. And like I said, Greg and I have been talking and trying to find a new place anyway, because I still worry about my mom pulling some nonsense. Because we did an emergency thing from North Carolina here, and we put both our names on it. So it's been a lot of stress. But I am hopeful the next few weeks that things will get better. And I am just thankful that I have friends who he's got my back. He's been more like family to me than the people I actually share genetic ties to. And it's always appreciated. And we're going to get to tonight because there is a lot to talk about. And we are going to start with all the contrarians that are trying to deflect from the fact that Donald Trump, the former POTUS, which I hate the fact that we can call this motherfucker POTUS, but the former president of the United States of America committed acts of espionage, committed acts of probably treason. I'm going to say allegedly for legal purposes for now. But I need to replay a lot of the steps because I know some people are used to Jim Comey's way of handling his job. Hey, Beans. Oh, not yet. I had so many people linking me it. I was just still floored by, I believe, 186 sealed documents that motherfucker has? That I'm like, huh? How? But I want to replay to people the fact that this man took classified documents from the White House. Our current AG, Merrick Garland, who's leading the DOJ, did everything by the book. He reached out to the former POTUS saying, hey, these are classified documents. We need you to return them. Trump ignored him. Reached out again. We really do need you. This is a matter of national security. Trump, no, you can't touch me. I'm the president. This is a big lie. You can't do nothing to me, right? So Merrick Garland said, I tried to do this silently. I tried to do this the adult way. We're coming to get those papers. He wants to call it a raid. I know I've used the word raid because raid doesn't freaking matter to me. You had a bunch of FBI agents on his wannabe ritzy golf course looking for them papers that he was hiding, shredding, stuffing down the toilet. And he had paperwork from what I did see, because I didn't read the whole redacted thing because it was just so much coming in at me. Whenever people know I'm going to do these Bonnet Chronicles, my DMs get blown up with information. And when I found out that he had documents that had HCS, which is highly classified sensitive, on them, and then he tried to say, oh no, I declassified them. How? You don't even know how to read. Trump is a liar. He knows he did dirty. He knows he did this country dirty. And I'm just trying to figure out who he sold us to and how much did he sell us out for. Because that's the question everybody needs to be asking at this point. The man owed over $650 million to Deutsche Bank. I think people forget because we were so inundated by the constant deluge of Trump's bullshit for 4 years. But he came into the White House owing foreign people that he borrowed from for bad business decisions and everything else money. And he was making so many backdoor deals with despots and people that we would not have even tried to break bread with. And the man had national security level secrets on his fucking golf course where Giuliani, like the ghoul he was, had access to the underground tunnels. Everything about Donald Trump irks me, but the fact that we had to call that man president for 4 years vexes me when he is an idiot. I'm going to show you in a little bit that ridiculous Truth Social tweet that he put out there, and then the follow-up message. He is so delusional, and they're all scared. And you've got the Republicans, especially right now. Oh, the White House isn't being nice to us. The White House is clapping back, yes. Because while you're getting on Joe Biden, who had a really good week this week, for doing what he promised his voters, not the Bernie brats, who I'm going to get to y'all soon, not the far left or the right, he promised his voters that he would start bringing economic stability, and he did that. The student debt reform that he put in place with an act that George Bush had did back in 2003 is a chef's fucking kiss. And it is what happens when you put somebody who knows how to legislate, who understands legalities, and who understands economics in charge. That HEROES Act that George Bush and all those fucking right-wingers thought they were going to put in to give the president almost near absolute power to handle financial stuff in case of an emergency. Well, the Democrats said, you know what? That is a good idea. We don't want absolute power, but we do feel that it's enough an emergency to help constituents who not only have Pell Grant, but do have crushing student loan debt. Now, is it a blanket end-all be-all fix? No, but it has helped so many people. There was so much gratitude on my timeline these last few days, and so much salty bitches. People trying to yeet the goalpost off the field, talking about, well, do medical debt next. Y'all need to stop. You just cannot stand that this administration knows what it's doing. It was so nice seeing so many people that busted their ass going to school, who are holding down a job, taking care of their bills, taking care of their parents and their kids' bills, finally getting a little bit of relief. And this is only the beginning. And Joe Biden And VP Harris did that with a direct 50-50 split, with people like Manchin and Cinema being maybes, with Bernie Sanders being a never. So we need y'all to turn out during the midterms so that we can have the full majority and truly get things. You think the people on the right and far left are belly aching now? Wait till we have enough senators who want to do the job and want to vote. Instead of these fucking PPE loan getting, oh, you want to talk about student loan debt? But there's a list of you fuckers with hundreds of thousands of dollars of PPE loans. And then you just want to say, oh, well, we had to because the country got shut down. And motherfucker, that was your guy too. Because last I checked, it was your guy that downplayed COVID, fired the pandemic response team that the Obama administration had, thus allowing our country to become full-on susceptible to a pandemic. And because of your guy, the same guy that's being investigated for full-on espionage, 45, the fallout, as I like to call him, president, because of him, we had to shut down. And when you want to pin the American Relief Act, which your guy signed, he made sure, as much as I hate it, I kept that corny ass letter that he sent with that piddly ass check that he gave to us because he thought that would shut people up as we were fucking dying of a preventable pandemic. And I didn't keep it because I want anything from Trump. I kept it because I want to remind people when I'm an old lady that these were the stupidest fucking times in America. And that we let this bozo clown show run our country into the ground for 4 years. And the only thing I got from it was a fucking, I'm going to pat myself on the back to give you a piddly ass check for a crisis that I caused myself because I wanted to downplay COVID. Need I remind you that some of us buried family to COVID? Need I remind you that some of us lost friends, that we still have people suffering from this illness because our leaders, and not just here in America, but I'm going to stick with what I know, dropped the ball big time, didn't take this seriously, and didn't want to push the people who want to be selfish and entitled to do the right thing. And this man baby who was too busy selling us out to the highest bidder made things worse for us. Welcome to the chat, Silent Irate. It was so frustrating these last few years, and I'm not shocked. So many of my friend who's streaming right now, just got, he's boosted, thank God, but he's just gotten over COVID. And don't think because you're boosted, this shit won't take you out for a few days. Make it hard to breathe, fevers, and everything else. And hey, welcome to the chat. Welcome back to the chat, Silent. It is just so frustrating. And welcome to the chat, Beans. If there's anybody I missed, let me scroll up here because I think, oh, Shimena, welcome. I just feel like a lot of the right especially have been out of pocket with the whole you can't give students a handout. And it's all these wannabe Christian types that are talking about a handout when I thought the last I checked, these are supposed to be the religion of doing good for the poor and helping others. But I guess some of you didn't get that memo or don't care. I know that you're a Christian in name only, but come on now. These last few days have been eye-opening to the amount of people salty about this administration doing the right thing by the people they promised, which were their voters, the people who turned out. I don't know about you guys, but I got a positive boon on my political investment. And I'm not going to even act like life is easy. I think like most Americans right now, there's still a struggle period. Greg just started his new job. Everything is slowly, like this country, starting to stabilize in my household. But I am not going to act like I don't sleep better at night. I am not going to act like I don't feel safer. And I am definitely not going to act like this administration isn't doing this damnedest when it had absolutely nothing to work with coming in. And the problem with the right and the far left right now is that they were hoping for a fail. They're still looking for ways to ding us. And now they're still speculating about 2024, trying to downplay our VP, trying to throw ageism in there. I had some lady earlier today in my mentions talking about we need to cap at 65. Why? Some of my favorite current politicians are in their 70s doing their thing, like Maxine Waters, like Representative Lewis in Virginia. I feel like there are a lot of people trying to throw ageism down there because it's the new cool thing to do. If you're a 22-year-old podcaster, especially bitching about things, you want to throw that age in there. But what the fuck experience do you have at 22 years old to run a whole nation or run your state even? Some of these people act like legislating's easy. They forget that we are 50 different states governed by sometimes hostile factions, and you have to navigate that as the president. And sometimes you have to navigate that as a fellow senator and negotiate. Some of you think that you could just make a Twitter demand and change policy, and that is not how anything works. And this week has been eye-opening in the most entitlement, salty ass, don't look at the shit I do, but look at how the Dems they're buying votes. They didn't have to buy our votes. You literally had a man baby treason child who fucking caused COVID and harmed a bunch of us. We buried friends and relatives. You didn't have to convince me with anything to vote Trump out. And he's still pushing a big lie. But what trips me out is shit like this. Guys like Jim Banks saying student loan forgiveness undermines one of our military's greatest recruitment tools in a time of dangerous low enlistment. These motherfuckers are literally telling us that our kids, which kiddo's gonna be 18 in a year, they want our babies to just be military fodder for them. And that keeping us at a low income makes it easier for them to get us to enlist. Welcome to the chat, Gusty J. We're doing a lot better, but I feel like seeing these people complain about things like the student loan thing and how this administration, I'm telling you, it was brilliant the way they utilized an act that George W. Bush put on the books to get something that will cause comprehensive reform. That 5% cap on income, the fact that people with Pell Grants, so many people are going to be lifted out of poverty, just like they did last year with the child tax care credit. Something that helped me get kiddos' laptop, something that helped keep us afloat during very trying times. And that is what happens when you have a VP with an economic background, when you have a president with both the legislative, senatorial, and economic legal backgrounds. Smart people are governing us, and we should continue to get them support. And on a state-by-state basis right now, our rights are on the line. If we play around with this and don't politically invest ourselves, we get what we deserve. We've got assholes like Abbott running Texas in the ground. We've got Def Santis trying to cosplay as Top Gun. That commercial still heats me. I talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, but the fact of the matter is I come from a military family. I didn't enlist myself, but I am a full-on brat. I have all the branches of the military covered. So it was pretty much like going through basic training anyway. When you have Army grandpas and Navy dads, Marine uncles, whether you like to or not, you are going to learn about the military. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to survive. They did basic training for kids in my family. So when you're military raised, it's like a whole different world. So when I see a politician just throw on a bomber jacket and think that's what Top Gun means, no. And to insult our Air Force like that when it takes both intelligence, skill, and people who care about their country. I know not everybody who joins the military has those honorable purposes. Just like every institution, you have those troublesome types that think, I'm just gonna get that gun or get that glory or whatever. But for the most part, the military does instill discipline. It does instill protecting your country. And so when I think about how many people play like it's a cosplay thing, and I'm glad, Gusty, there's been so many people celebrating this week. So many people who are feeling the relief that this act will bring. And that's why I said, We cannot let the Contrarians try to take this win from us. And we have to give them a solid majority in our House and Senate so that we can get more. And I'm not saying that to be greedy. I don't need anything personal wise. I am going to be all right. I tell people all the time, every American, it's always touch and go. You might have a bad week or so, but my family will be okay. I want this nation to heal. I want to see less people struggling all around. I want people who are worried about rental assistance to get that. I want the IRS to go after those people who fraudulently filed for stuff. I want reform, and we've got the people in charge doing that. They're not going, look at me on Instagram and stuff. They're doing their jobs. And I feel like, exactly, Beans, I was about to bring that up. I feel like the Republicans, they played their hands too heavy. They thought, oh, our guy gave us the Supreme Court. Our clown show gave us the people that will move the needle the way we want. And they attacked Roe. But they forget that while they have indoctrinated some women into believing that, oh, it's our job to fall in the line and support the right, there are a lot more of us that can still have kids, especially, but even those who can't, who fought for Roe in the first place, because some of you really need to stop disrespecting your elders, who said, not on our watch. That chick in New York, Miss Biasi, I believe her name is, learned the hard way. Sometimes you want to diss the older women that you think, what, we not in the know? I'm 45. I can still have kids. I made the conscious decision to keep the ability because I just started dating somebody I love not a few years back, and we weren't ready. Now we're talking about that. We have that option. But to act like somebody elder doesn't have a right to say when they treaded the walk, when they marched and put up with a hostile nation towards women for the rights that you let slip through your fingers because you just couldn't be bothered to vote for the email lady. It's infuriating. But Mitch McConnell and his little kangaroo court, they played a dangerous game with already frayed nerves. They didn't learn their lesson when 84 million of us turned out and said to their guy, you're fired. They didn't learn their lesson when we said after the old Capitol 6 riot that was it. We aren't putting up with your nonsense no more. But they are going to learn when we see their boy in chains if he keeps it up, because espionage is no joke. And he don't have the funds to get out of this. No lawyer wants to touch him. And what's frustrating about the Roe versus Wade is everybody's trying to find a way to pin it on this administration. This administration and put those judges in. But this administration gave us Ketanji Jackson Brown, our first Black female Supreme Court justice. This administration can do so much harm reduction if we give them the proper Senate and House majority. We can expand the Supreme Court if needed. Or we can force impeachment on Clarence Thomas, who last I checked, his wife has some very questionable ties to January 6th. We can also look at the qualifications of Amy Coney Barrett, because I'm sorry, she does not have the legislation chops to be on the Supreme Court, and that should have been brought up. And need I remind you that we literally have a guy that cried and talked about how he likes beer on our Supreme Court? And if you want these people to be reviewed, if you want actual people who want to do the judiciary impeachment that could potentially be possible, I don't know. I am speculating, and I'm making it clear. This is just my speculation as a sci-fi writer. But I would like to think that people in Congress could get together and form a review. They formed the January 6th committee. I am sure that if enough people vote in, those who want to see this happen, we can get this on in our Congress. But it takes a Congress that gives a fuck. And right now, we have 50 Republican senators wasting our time because they think they still got a Hail Mary with the Supreme Court. And as long as Thomas Alito Kavanaugh and Barrett are on our Supreme Court. We have to deal with them looking at same-sex marriage, which Thomas already on record said that they're looking at. They've made it clear the things they want to do. Just like I said on Tuesday, how the right made it clear that they want to go after Social Security. They call it an entitlement. It's not an entitlement if they take it automatically out of our checks. I am so extremely frustrated with the way this country mismanages money for the few and then makes the rest of us burdened by their mismanagement. It's got to stop. And welcome to the chat, Terry Antigo. Now, if we want something done, and welcome to the chat, Respect. If we want something done, something that will lift our country fully up and keep us on the path of stability, we have to do our part. And I know politics is boring for some. You get people in your circles that say, I don't think about it. I don't want to pay attention to it. I don't even know who represents me. And that is a bad thing. Senator Stabnow's office still reaches out to me. When I first moved to Michigan, I was shell-shocked. I had lived in the South for over 20 years and wasn't always a good experience for me. And I had to flee Kiddo's father years ago. And when you flee somebody who he wasn't the best of partners, you're constantly looking over your shoulders and you're constantly worried. And I've done so much by myself before Axiom and Wolf and I started dating. And he has been an amazing partner. But he can tell you, holding down the fort by myself was hard. But I couldn't rely, and I did not want my ex knowing where I lived. Because he was the kind of guy that would just show up at your place. And he was not the kind of guy that was mentally stable. So when I got here to Michigan, I ended up applying for assistance to get help for kiddos, health insurance, and get some food money. And it was like the state just rallied against me. Like, what are you doing? Where's your ex? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know. We are not in that kind of situation, and I don't want him to know where I am. And the state gave me problems until I reached out to Senator Stabnow's office. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you should reach out to your local state representative and senator when there is issues like this. Because not only did they help me out, but I explained to them that, like many other women who came out of domestic violence situations, we cannot afford to put ourselves in jeopardy because you want to figure out where our partners are. I haven't seen my ex in almost 18 years, and I don't need to. I'm still recovering from a lot of the stuff I went through with him, and I refuse to be dragged back because the state thinks they can get blood from the stone. I don't even think the dude works. I don't know what he does, and I don't care. I don't even know if he's still breathing. I don't care anymore. I have gotten to that point where I try not to think about him anymore. And it was bad enough 4 years ago, I think it was. No, about 3 years ago. He popped up in a Facebook Messenger, which is another reason why I'm not on Facebook, to try to see if I was still about online. You knew I was online because I know, and I've seen a few questionable accounts on Twitter. Some weirdo guy that looked like him with a shaved head saying hugs. No. Them days are over. You will leave me alone, you demon. But when you have senators and representatives that actually care, that you can reach out, that you can contact their office for things, it makes a difference. And it shouldn't matter what their party affiliation is. But I'm sorry, since the only Republican representative I ever dealt with that told me that it is his job was Senator Burr, I have yet since him to run into a Republican that gives a fuck. When I reached out after the shooting in Michigan, which I'm living last year during Christmas, the one Republican senator that wrote back to me to respectfully disagree just got my crosshairs. I'm coming after your job, buddy. I really, really hope that you don't enjoy that seat because we're coming for it. The fact that you can respectfully disagree that our state doesn't need AR-15s in the hands of 18-year-olds or even younger is beyond measure. But this is what we're up against. And this is why I say, I know politics seems boring to you, but some of us never had that luxury of playing these games. Some of us had grandparents that warned us vote because they don't want us to anyway. And some of us take our civic duties seriously because we are on the bottom of the ladder. If you are a disabled American, if you are a POC, if you are somebody that doesn't conform to what they consider the norm of America, your vote protects your right to be. And you politically invest, you see beneficial returns. It really is that simple, yet so many people try to talk you out of it. And this week has been nothing but contrarians trying to yeet all the wins off the field. Oh, you can't claim this as a win. They're buying votes. No, they're not. Because everybody who benefited from this, half y'all didn't even vote. So let's not fake that, folk. And I'm not talking to anybody in this chat, but I'm talking about the people that were really loudly complaining. But the majority of the people who did vote, the majority of the people who did turn out, they are the ones that filled my timeline with, oh my God, my student loan debt is cleared up. Oh my gosh, I just lost a big chunk of payments that I don't have to. Oh my God, I don't have to, I'm getting the stuff that I paid the last 2 years back. I am seeing so many joyful, grateful people. And that is what happens when you elect people that want to get the job done. And welcome to the chat, Mama Fanta. It really is. And I've told people, I am not the kind of friend and I'm not the kind of person that goes, you got to vote like me. I don't like those types. A, we don't all live in the same state. B, I am team, and welcome to the chat, G. Feldman. I'm team mind my business unless I directly donate to that candidate or have a say. Like, I lived in Florida, so I might weigh in a bit heavily on Florida politics at times because I lived in that state. That's where my son was born. And when we left, the state wasn't doing that bad. But things change. And DeSantis is trying to drive that state into the ground. I want to see that change. I have family from Texas. I have friends who are living in Texas. I am sick and tired of seeing Abbott's garbage. That's why I've been going hard for Beto. That's why I want Cruz to be fucking primaried out or, better yet, replaced by a Dem. I want to see Val Demings make Marco Rubio go home. There's so much going on. And y'all know I just moved from North Carolina 4 years ago. So I've been hardline pushing for Cheryl Beasley. I have family in Georgia, so they have been canvassing and campaigning for Stacey Abrams. We are a very political aware family. And I'm originally from New York. And while I don't worry too heavily about New York politics because it is what it is, y'all are going to have to deal with Eric Adams' foolishness for a bit longer. I feel like New York politics is not as simplistic as people try to make it. People think of New York as just this liberal bastion without realizing there are so many pockets of conservatives in New York. I'm from Staten Island, the red borough. People who are literally protesting against being healthy. Please stop with the whole, oh, it's all blue in New York. No, it's not. That's why some idiot got a gun and shot up elders in a grocery store in Buffalo, because I think some people forget that New York is a whole ass state and the city's just a little tip of it. And I say this as a girl who was born in the city. It's a whole state. And there are different people living in that state. And there is no such thing as a safe blue state anywhere. But we can make it more so. We can turn the red states purple. I know that there are people who are fed up. You come home and the power's out because the grid shut down, because your governor would rather give a tax break to people who are already too wealthy, running our electricities into the ground. You're paying hundreds of dollars each month for a bill for what? So that when it gets too hot, you can't run your AC, or when it gets too cold, you can't run your heat. And this is what you want running your state, Texas? This is what you want running your state, Florida? Come on. And I know Floridians are tired, but I also know that there are so much shenanigans going on, and that is why I beg them to turn out in ways that they cannot cheat, because we know they're going to try. We've seen it in 2020. We've seen the big lie for what it was, but they still tried to push it. And if you don't think these little pocket wannabe Trumps aren't going to try on a state by state basis to weasel their way in, they already did in some places. That's why school boards are book banning instead of trying to figure out curriculums that are more inclusive. That's why we have a whole ass state with a don't say gay bill. Why are you so hyper focused on two grown folks what they do in their own private time? I'm as straight as an arrow, and I don't think about what my friends, whether they are in a same sex or a regular supposed relationship, do. And I don't call it a regular relationship to say this is the norm. I'm saying the so-called default relationship nonsense. It is infuriating to me to have somebody legislate something that we have legally passed. I'm tired of my friends having to live in hiding for who they are. I'm tired of a society that only wants to breed anxiety amongst its people. Haven't we seen that when we force people, try to put them in these neat little boxes and packages, that all it does is make people snap? It is time to be more knowledgeable, more understanding, and more caring. It is time for joy and empathy. The times of constantly harping on bad stuff, the times of constantly worrying about stuff, it needs to be over. And I think we can get there, but we have to put in the effort. It is so frustrating when I think of how many people would rather get us backwards when we can go forwards into so much more stability. And it was like I told my friend Sasha the other day, it really feels like being joyful in itself is an act of defiance at this point. It feels like being happy and taking things by the horns and just being joyful is in your face to all these contrarians, all these people who want to just say the stupidest things. And it's because they still want to follow their fool king. And when I look at some of the things he said, because I refuse to put it directly on my timeline, but I think I responded to a few people that responded to him because he put some foolish stuff out there. And like I said, I try to keep my timeline Trump free, except for me calling him out. I have such lovely people that follow me too. Lovey, that is a beautiful picture. Let me see if I can find that bullshit tweet he made. Not Maggie Haberman. I wish the New York Times would fire her. Sorry about this senior moment, y'all. I really do not like having Trump stuff on my timeline. So I have to go by my likes. Is that no, that's that student loan thing. I might not be able to find it. Let me go to my tweets and reply, because I did reply to that one guy's big lie tweet because it was garbage. Let's see. And I stand by my Roxana Arquette is the best Arquette tweet too, because her sister's garbage. There we go. This garbage that he put out here. Save America by President, which you're not president, we fired you. And it is nothing but insults. I don't even want to really read all of this because it really does feel like I take a hit to IQ points reading anything this man puts out. But the fact that he attacks his former VP, the fact that he attacks DeSantis, mocking that stupid Top Gun commercial, they are legitimately eating their own. They have been hemorrhaging funds, which Rick Scott is really prolific on Twitter right now. And for somebody who literally robbed Medicare and Medicaid of billions of dollars, which he had to pay back and got into some serious trouble for, to have the RNC have $140 million disappear while he is on a yacht in Italy, and then he wants to tweet about student loan debt causing issues. Where's the $140 million? Because your bum king is here begging people for money to take on Sleepy Joe, and there ain't nothing sleepy about President Biden. Even with COVID, he was able to do this Relief Act. Even with COVID, he was able to do his job, and he's not doing his job to go, look at me, I'm your king. He's going, I'm your president, and I'm here to make sure that everybody is lifted up. But this is the stuff that you're going to keep seeing because we allowed this man 4 years ago to steal power. And he turned the presidency into a 4 year laughing stock. And it is going to take at least a good 8 years to undo the damage, if we even can, because we still don't know the full fallout of the treason that this man committed. He literally committed espionage. There is absolutely no reason to have that many classified documents taken off of the White House grounds, but he did it. And I know people have been joking about check Ivanka's grave, but the fact that he buried his ex on his golf course is way, way suspicious. And I don't like giving in to conspiracy theories. But why was it so important to him to stick her supposed ashes on the grounds like that? And who would let their mother go through that? They did not have the most acrimonious of breakups. So it's such a weird situation. But I feel like we are going to see a lot, and I mean a lot, of grifting from this person, because he was never a billionaire. And his party is full on hemorrhaging money. Their so-called money manager, which I cannot wrap my mind around Rick Scott being allowed to be in charge of funds when he literally robbed Medicaid. But I guess they thought that there was honor amongst these thieves. And what can you say to the people who took hundreds of thousands of dollars of PPP loans out and didn't have to pay a cent back? Oh, I had to do that to save my business because the country shut down. Yeah, because your guy downplayed the pandemic and literally we had to freaking grind to a standstill. And then your answer to us was, well, if seniors die to this, who cares? Everybody's got to get back to work. These are some ghouls. And we cannot let them dictate the narrative anymore. And I want this midterm to be more than a blue wave. I want this to be a blue reckoning. I want people to come out in ways that even the most contrarian reporter will be like, well, these wins aren't fair, because that's their latest stick. These wins aren't right. They're not being good winners. They're dropping receipts, and that's childish. And it's like, this former president just spent a whole ass memo calling grown ass people names, including the current president. And that was on top of his weird ass Truth Social tweet that dings Barack Obama because he is so jealous of the former president. So jealous of what he could never be as a man or as a president. He is going to go down as America's gravest mistake. And Trump is sputtering because, unlike other AGs, unlike that fool that he had under him that even jumped ship towards the end, unlike Jeff Sessions, who recused himself and got himself fired for it, unlike Comey, whose little fucking October surprise was nothing but a nothing burger, but fucking cost so many people who just wasn't sure about her emails to stay home instead of turning out, we have Merrick Garland, the man that Barack Obama and Joe Biden, back when they were president and vice president, were going to appoint as Supreme Court justice that Mitch McConnell blocked, and karma always comes back around. He is being the AG we need. He's not trying to push a book. He's not trying to be out in the spotlight. He's not going to give you Twitter updates, because this is not a TV show. Real justice takes time. It takes patience, and it's boring work. But this man has done it before. He is the guy who got the Unabomber. He is the guy who got the Oklahoma City bomber. He is a man who gets what I like to say is results. And when he gave that presser the other day and everybody was expecting him to just drop a whole bunch of stuff, and he was like, no, we will release the redacted statement to Donald Trump when we get the judge's permission. There's nothing else he really had to add to that. That is how I knew I had somebody in charge of our DOJ that just wants to do his job. He's not making this about him. And thank you. Welcome to the chat, Blue Phoenix. He's not making this about him. That's what made so many people, and these wasn't just people like Joy Reid and other pundits who get paid to be contrarian. There were people that I literally respect saying the where's Merrick, where's Merrick? Like, I get that you're used to televised chaos, And I get that some of you feed into stuff. I enjoyed the January 6th stuff too, and I look forward to when they come back. But we have to understand that not every job is meant to be televised, that real work is being done and it's being done smartly. So you're not going to see it. And it's not going to be like a TV show where you get to clap and cheer and high five each other on every decision. I need people to start being a bit more mature when it comes to what goes on in both justice and politics. And understand that putting our heads down, getting more people in those seats that care and want to do their job is the most important thing. Not listening to the Contrarians because they are out of pocket this week. The amount of people who have been whining about the wins. Well, it does feel like it. He really wanted to talk about her emails, talk about how she compromised things, talk about how things were rigged. And this motherfucker literally stole highly classified sensitive documents. Boxes upon boxes of classified documents. But that's exactly, Respect called it like it is. They just deflect. It's like that, and I hate to give life to this bullcrap, but anybody who's been on Twitter for the last 10 years have seen it. I would not let it be tweeted in my timeline. I blocked anybody who used the term Pizzagate because it was just so asinine and stupid. And when I did the research to find out what it was just, sometimes you just shouldn't open the door to something. Ignorance sometimes can be bliss. And I wish I had never, ever heard that term before. Because the right wingers absolutely love to accuse Democrats of being pedophiles and doing awful things. And yet their boy was hanging out on Epstein Island. And last I checked, assholes like Matt Gaetz is literally under investigation for trafficking. So I'm done with right wingers who like to deflect and talk about Hillary Clinton. Hillary's living her best private citizen life, still being a boogeyman to them. He's constantly bringing her up too. Every other thought process is about her because she was right. She said he's a man that could be baited by a tweet. She said this country would be worse off in his hands. And she was so right. And we are the ones that lost in 2016, not just her. And it still hurts. But we can make up for this. And we can get better. But we have to politically invest. And I know that these last few years have been tiring. I tell people all the time, protect your energy. I know it feels like you got to fight everybody. This person had a different opinion from me. I need to argue with them. Why? Who are you voting for in your local? Who's running? Who represents you? Because if you have enough energy to fight with people over stuff online all the time, I really hope that you have people representing you where you can feel that comfortable. Because if you don't, that's where all your anger should be. Because they literally want to take our rights to be viable humans that can make our own choices away. They don't care about our right to vote, and they will stop our right to vote if we let them. It is on us to be politically aware and invested because you get a positive return when you do that. I want to go back to Twitter being fun. I am a geek. I tell people all the time, I miss being able to just talk comic book stuff, music, games and stuff. This politics stuff erodes my soul, but I cannot let it go because too many people spread misinformation. But it's not just politics. This whole week has been fuckery for music. I know y'all saw that Rolling Stone cover. If you haven't, I don't ding Harry Styles. I think he's a fine young man. I think he's talented. I don't know much of his discography because he's not really my style of music. I still listen to a lot of old school 90s grunge and hip hop. So I'm not really hip with a lot of new stuff. I think Lil Nas X is the most new that I really listen to right now. So when I see Rolling Stones give Harry Styles the King of Pop cover, I had to pump the brakes. And I know some people are like, it's just a title. Who cares? I care because the person who earned that title spanned decades of work. The person that earned that title, you can go into any country, and it's been a good 10 years since that man has walked this earth, which it still makes me choke up a little bit thinking about that. But if you say Michael Jackson's name in this day and age, people still know who you're talking about. I've got my only LP left. It has survived several moves. I have had it since the 80s in New York. Is my Thriller LP. He's some singer, apparently, Blue Phoenix. I don't understand it. But Rolling Stone seems to think that he's the king of pop now. And it's like, he's a what? Excuse you, what? We have got to stop allowing these publications to just do that. They didn't give him the king of rock and roll. I guess Elvis gets to keep that crown forever. Even though there's been humongous names in rock and roll. I would give Dave Grohl the king of rock and roll crown if he wanted it, but he probably doesn't, because a lot of people don't go for that. But when I say the king of pop, when I hear king of pop, I think of Michael Jackson. I think of the first time sitting as a little girl in front of the TV when he moonwalked across that stage. Every time of Michael Jackson presents, he made MTV for us. Thriller scared the crap out of me, but I still did the dance. I really do not understand why these publications need to do that, but these are the same publications that do the top 10 female singers of all time and leave out Beyonce, leave out Anita Baker, leave out Aretha Franklin, because we don't exist to them. And then you've got these factions online that go after rappers like Missy Elliott, talking about they don't have hits and other stuff like that. And it's like, is collective ignorance a new thing on Twitter? Or no, I know it isn't. But it's very frustrating, the lack of respect to our especially music elders, who not only paved a path for people, but endured so much. Missy Elliott endured a lot to bring great music that you could still bop to 20 years from when she released it. And to say that a godmother of rap like her doesn't deserve kudos, doesn't have hits or classics, because that's what that tweet was. I was trying to remember how they phrased it because it was so asinine. And they got ratioed right off of Twitter. So I would suggest don't be the Twitter main villain. It never works out. But it's this whole year started with people having bad music takes. There was this young brother early on in the year talking about Prince never had a hit. I was like, wait, Prince who? Because I know you're not talking about Prince Rogers Nelson. Mr. I not only had great hits for myself, musical soundtracks that were hits, but I wrote greatest hits for others. But this is the collective ignorance that people can push online with confidence. And I am sick of it. I want to be able to get back in and not only drop receipts about how Prince was probably one of the gods of guitaring and a music legend, and I will not have you disrespect his name ever again. But I should have been able to check that magazine before they went ether. I am sick and tired of people disrespecting our music elders. But I have politics to focus on right now. And it would be nice if we could get to a nation of stability so that my geeky butt can go back to making sure people don't freaking disrespect our music elders. And that I can get into comic book conversations. Yes, I am going to watch She-Hulk. I'm a huge Marvel fan. And I can't not watch it because my guildies are freaking going nuts. They want to talk about it on Sundays. And I am the holdup. So I will be watching that. I have heard it's fire. And I am looking forward to it. I don't think he was alive 30 years ago, G. Feldman. And like I said, I don't want to knock Harry Styles. I think he's an okay guy. I love his style. I think one day he might hit a pinnacle where I want to know who he is. But if you had asked me before this Rolling Stone cover who Harry Styles is, I would have thought he was an actor or a model or something. I did not know he was in music. And Black Twitter did not let this snub or disrespect, as I'm going to blatantly call it, go unchallenged. This young lady put up a brilliant tweet of Michael Jackson at 10, singing his behind off, versus Harry Styles at 16 doing some number. And you can't compare. And my thing is, Sandman I'm enjoying that. I am taking my time with that. I was a huge Sandman fan as a young adult. I'm not even going to say teenager because I think I was pushing more towards the young adult. I read a lot of that in manga back in the day. I used to do little sketches of death. What I loved about Neil Gaiman, and I love that he's clapping people back on Twitter too, is that he always made expressive worlds that felt inclusive. And a lot of people thought, oh, Sandman characters were this and that. And he was like, no, let's drop this because characters of color were always in my work. I don't know why yous are calling my work super woke, but I'll take that. He has always been an amazing writer, and I've always respected his work. And I feel like too many people want to call works like his too woke. And it's like, you mean inclusive and letting people who normally aren't seen in entertainment be seen? What's wrong with that? I loved that the Sandman series, 20 episodes. I can't wait to finish it, but I've been taking my time. I hope they renew it. I can't stand that Netflix is up in the air about that stuff. Renew the good shows. Stop playing these games. But it's one of these times where we are getting to a point where we can talk about stuff like this more. And it's so frustrating. And they did the same thing in animation. I think the future in entertainment is going to be our own personal streams now. Because I don't trust networks with my stuff. I literally wrote a sci-fi novel that I feel not only touches upon diversity and humanism, but really brings in characters that people normally don't have in these shows. I wanted all body types. I wanted all walks of life in my story because that's what I grew up with. I was tired of people being invisible or just being background characters in this world, and I wanted to write stuff. I could sit and complain about that, or I can make a difference. And I made that difference. My first won't be my last work, but it takes time. And it is my goal to one day have independently done entertainment. I am sick of all of these works being in the hands of people that, oh yeah, too woke. Oh, we need to worry about sponsorship and stuff. I ain't got to worry about sponsors if it's on my channel. And I ain't got to worry about sponsors if it's stuff I wrote. The only thing I got to worry about is making sure that the people that I hire to animate can get the work done. That's the dream, that's the goal, and that's what I'm pushing for. I know very talented people who do both voice and all kinds of work that I would love to one day hire. I am determined to make this happen. I feel like with time, anything is possible, but you get what you put in. And that's why I want more people to just personally invest. And who leads you on a state basis? I promise you that if you get somebody that wants to head down, do the work, we all benefit. We all get to geek out and hang out and have these fun conversations. And I want to get to a Bonnet Chronicles where we talk more about music stuff, where we talk more about geek stuff, where it's not always a heavy social issues. But we have to keep that balance because our nation is still in the healing process. And I want to see it completely start to heal. Not just patched up here and there and then the wound split open even worse. I want to see true comprehensive healing. And I know it takes time and it takes us all investing ourselves in seeing that happen. There is so much going on. And I hope the stream isn't messing up. I know it was buffering earlier. I closed out of a lot of stuff. I'm hoping that my stream is doing all right. But yeah, I feel like, and that depends. Like I said, I think for anything, whether it's Twitch or whatnot, I don't want people to have to pay for the content I put out. I really do like that you sit in here and listen to me. I like the fact that I can one day show you art and stuff that I do. I'm hopeful. That's what these streams are for. If I went into streaming to make money, I would be heartbroken. You don't make a lot unless you have like millions of followers. And I'm not really the kind of person that wants millions of followers. I can barely keep up with chat right now tonight, and I love y'all. I feel like too many people get into streaming with stardust in their eyes, and I'm just here to make a difference as much as I can, keeping people focused on news and social issues. I never got into this to be famous. I got into it to have fun. And as long as I have fun, that is the most important. I never want anybody to feel they got to come out of pocket for this. I don't push subs. I don't push any of that. So I really do appreciate anybody that just sits there. And no, that's okay. I did. You did promise me bits on Stream Time Stream. I appreciate that though. I just want people to realize that hanging out here, there is no payment required. It is all a bunch of friends just trying to commiserate as we get through these midterms together and beyond. And I'm just happy that you are all here. I'm happy to share the ups because there have been so many ups. These last few weeks have shown me just how amazingly supportive all of you are and beyond. So I just want to thank you. And I feel like things are just going to be better. I feel like I am defiantly joyful at this place. And I am happy to be here on these Bonnet Chronicles. And I'm happy that you understand when health stuff starts to get to be too much. But I'm hopeful that I'll be taking care of that soon too. I got to make an appointment, get these fibroids completely looked at because they've been really wrecking me. But I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these. And Tuesday, I will be back. Kiddos start school on Monday, but the first week is just orientation mostly. So I don't think I'm going to have to worry about the desk being occupied. But if there's ever a time where he's stuck procrastinating, I will give y'all a shout out and say, hey, it's either going to be moved or postponed. But hopefully Tuesdays and Fridays will still go on. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, get ready to go make dinner for Greg and I. Kiddo already ate. I cannot not feed him before this or he'll pace outside the door. But I want to thank you all so much. And we do have a Discord. Let me see if the command is working. I share a Discord with Axiom Wolf, but let me see if I coded this right, because I don't think I did. I am an old lady. I don't think I coded it yet. I will get you the link to the Discord, and I need to be on Discord a little bit more anyway. I sometimes forget to sign in. I am old. I'm still trying to keep up with everything. But I will be back on Sunday for those of you who sit in on the D&D stream, and back on Tuesday with the all-new Bonnet Chronicles. I hope you all have a great weekend. Find your happy, have good food, good music, good gaming, good book if you read. Just have a great weekend. I love y'all. You have a good night.